Good evening, Danvers, and welcome to our November 19th Select Board meeting. And would you all join me in the pledge, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. It seems like my microphone is turned up high tonight. Can we have approval of the minutes of November 7th?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. None opposed. Can we have a motion to approve the minutes of the workshop session of November 7th?
Motion to approve the minutes of the workshop session on November 7th, 2024.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. Thank you. The board will hear from and vote to approve two candidates for appointment to the Human Rights and Inclusion Committee and a candidate for appointment to the Historic District Commission. First, Mr. Rodney, if we could hear from somebody on the human rights to present the candidates.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I believe our chair, Paul Pollack, is here to present.
Wonderful. Welcome, Paul.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have two candidates to present. First one is Isaiah Young, who is here. And if you'd like to speak with Isaiah, he can tell you a little bit about himself, but I'll tell you something that I've known about him for years. He's just an outstanding young man who graduated from Danvers High School, I believe, in 1923? No, 2023. 2023. And during his time at the high school, he was on a variety of committees that dealt with problems that youngsters might be having in high school. He can amplify that a little bit. But when I talked to him personally, other members of our committee have known him over the years through his activities with the school, et cetera, and some of the programs that we run throughout the town. He has an energy level that I never had, and he's excited.
You just forgot.
Pardon me?
You just forgot you had it.
There's that too. But he is totally energetic. I ask him and I ask all candidates if they feel they can make the commitment, because once you get on a committee or you're elected to an office, as you guys know, there's more to it than you probably see when you first get on the committee. And he knows what it's about. He's been with us. He's willing to make the commitment 12 months of the year if we need. And I couldn't recommend him more. Now, if you'd like Mr. Young to come
He should
up.
go up, introduce himself at the microphone, and tell us anything you want to tell us.
Hello, I'm Isaiah Young. I'm 20. I graduated in 2023. As he mentioned, in high school I was involved in a lot of different aspects of our community, and I think the youngsters in our nation and communities deal with a really particular set of challenges that you guys have insight to but have not lived and experienced, and so I'm really passionate about addressing and targeting those issues.
Okay. Thank you very much. Board members, do you want to vote on each one individually or the two together?
Two together is fine.
Two together? Then we need to hear about the young lady. Thank you.
Everybody's young. The young lady is Sarah Goodale O'Brien, and she has children in the school system. I'm just going to give it to you off the top of my head. She graduated, I believe, with a bachelor's degree from University of Massachusetts in Dartmouth, Boston College master's degree, and is presently working for her PhD at Endicott College, where she is presently employed and teaches there, teaches some courses. Prior to moving over to Endicott, she had been in education at the elementary level. She was a principal for 2 or 3 years in the Ipswich system. Then she moved over to another situation. I think it was private. And she's presently, like I said, at Endicott. I had a long conversation with her about two things. What she was interested in And I believe she centers around education and those that are either bullied or have issues or might have some learning disabilities and those type of things, so that challenged children. And I thought that she would be an excellent addition to our committee because just off the top of my head, and Dr. Joyko might be able to correct me, I'm not sure we have actually anybody on our committee right now that is actually teaching. We may at one time have had that, but I don't know if there's anyone actually teaching in a public school setting or a college or university setting at this particular point. But anyway, I couldn't have been more impressed. When I asked her the hard question about time, she was very committed to the fact that she could make it work and she was willing to spend the time. Other than that, I was totally impressed with her when I talked to her, and that's why I wanted to move her name forward.
Thank you, Paul. David, any questions for Paul on the candidates?
Nothing. I think that they're both splendid candidates, and I'm especially thrilled that Isaiah is making the commitment. I've come to know him, and while he's a jewel of the town of Danvers. Thank you.
Thank you. Mike?
No, the resumes look great. The young lad over here, that's awesome that you're participating. Thank you. No, all set, thank you.
Maureen?
I like the energy that they both bring. I do like Isaac's internship that you did with the Danvers DEI department. I think that's really good. What's the RJTP Center?
My senior year, during the summer, I internship with Brandeis University's Racial Justice Tech Policy Center, which looks at tech and racial justice policy and examining through the globe the scope of technology.
Okay. And Sarah looks very impressive, too. But that's about it.
Guy?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I know Isaiah. I've known Isaiah for a long time, so I'm really glad that he's going to be joining this committee if confirmed. I do not know Sarah, but looking at the resume, and Paul, I don't think there's currently a member of the HRC that's a teacher. I think education is the way to go. And as I was reflecting as to what to say to these two candidates, I juggled down a few notes and just wanted to really thank you, Isaiah, and thank you, Sarah, who's probably watching, for your desire to serve. Your willingness to step up makes a difference, and your work will have lasting impact in our community. Remember, and we've talked about this before, serving especially an organization like the HRC is a journey. It's not a destination. There's never a lack of work. It's a work that's going to continue. You know, I remember we had a Veterans Day celebration, and today it just happened that I'm wearing my lapel pin, which is the starfish, and retired Lieutenant Kate spoke of that during the last Veterans Day celebration and the importance of service. And she said something to the effect of, just like the story of the starfish, no matter how small your act of service may seem, it matters. To the one you help, you make all of the difference. Every small gesture has a power to change lives. So what you're doing matters, and I just want to thank you for your service. And this is just the beginning. Thank you.
Thank you. What's the will of the board?
I move that we approve the two appointments.
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Thank you, Isaiah. Thank you, Paul. Good luck. Next, we have an appointment to the Historic District Commission, Christopher Forrest. Is somebody here to speak to that, or is Christopher here?
I'm actually right here, too.
Oh, great.
More than happy to
Please.
introduce myself.
Yep, introduce yourself for the folks at home.
Sure. Well, oh boy, that's scary now. So, first of all, my name is Christopher Forrest. I have been a Danvers resident since 2004, I believe. I'm trying to think. Yeah, 2004. I currently live in the Historical District Commission area. I've actually lived there since 2004. I've actually come to work with the committee several times to do modifications on our own home. So I've learned a lot about the Historic District Commission, about their rules, regulations, what to do, the right way to do it, but also their important task of keeping the historical integrity of a neighborhood in our town that not only is significant to Massachusetts, but actually the entire country. So being a member of the neighborhood, it didn't take me long to realize like sort of how important that is. My wife actually grew up in the neighborhood. She's been a Danvers resident all her life, has never left that neighborhood. So she's instilled on me sort of the interest in the history of it. Besides that, I am a social studies teacher. I've actually taught social studies, it seems like forever. It's 30 years. Currently, I'm a civics teacher for 8th grade middle school students. One of the things that we ask them to do is sort of get involved civically with our town. That's the town of Natick. So part of me feels like if I'm asking students to be civically involved, it's sort of my duty and my responsibility, if I have the option to do it, to be involved as well. I do have a love of history. I've been a member of different historical organizations over the years. I did help found one of those Minuteman reenactor units in my town when I was in my 20s. So I really love history, as you can see. I've actually written a couple books on history too. So thoroughly enthralled with history. Love the fact that I live in an important section of not only of our town, but of our state and of our country. And would be honored to be a member of that board. And on that note, if you have any questions, I am happy to
Thank you.
answer.
Before we go to the members up here, Mr. Henry, this commission falls under your purview. Do you have any comment? Thank you. Questions? Maureen?
No, I just, I love that you're a history teacher.
Well, thank you.
And all your volunteer opportunities that you've given to the town, and we would be honored to have you.
Well, thank you very much.
Dee?
No, thank you very much, and just like I could read the same thing again, thank you for your service. Every little counts, so thank you.
Thank you.
Michael?
You seem like the perfect fit.
No.
With
Thank
all
you.
everything in place there, unless you're a big storyteller. But no, that's awesome. Thank you for coming on board.
Thank you very much.
David?
Thank you, Dan. Michael said it. I'm very excited because you're excited. Thank you
Thank you.
for your willingness to serve.
What's the will of the board?
I move that we approve the appointment.
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none. Thank you very much for coming tonight, appreciate it.
Thank you
And
very
good
much.
luck.
Thank you.
Boy, I think you'd be wonderful.
A public hearing will be held under Chapter 140, Section 181 of the General Laws on the application of Noveland Entertainment LLC DBA Catch Mania and Lou, owner 100 Independence Way, for a CODA license, which are coin-operated amusement devices, to operate a facility to include 40 coin-operated amusement devices at that location. Somebody here to speak to that?
Yep.
Please introduce yourself for the folks at home.
Hello, everyone. Dear Chairman and board members and everyone. My name is Yan Liu, and I'm the owner of Novaland Entertainment, LLC, operating under the trade name Catch Mania. It's my pleasure to present our business plan. We are preparing to open a family entertainment center, an arcade store at the Liberty Tree Mall. It's conveniently located next to the AMC Theater. This coming January, our store will focus on prize-winning machines, including claw machine, sizer machine, gacha machine, and more. We aim to provide a fun and engaging entertainment experience through interactive arcade games, offering a wide variety of prizes such as animal plushies, toys, anime minifigures, keychains, and car models. Our target audience includes families, young adults, and couples. Catch Mania will also serve as a social space where people can come together to share the excitement of real-world interactions. All games are designed to be easy to play, ensuring a user-friendly and enjoyable experience for all customers. The store's operating hours will align with the mall schedule, opening from noon until closing on weekdays and from 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. on weekends. We plan to hire 2 full-time and 3 part-time employees to manage the store's operation. I have extensive experience working with the Simon Group, the owner of Liberty Tree Mall. For several years, I have successfully operated an ice cream store at Burlington Mall and managed vending machines across the New England area. The most rewarding aspect of these ventures has been hearing positive feedbacks from satisfied customers, and I'm committed to ensure Catchmania becomes a well-loved destination as well. Thank you for your time and consideration. I look forward to the opportunity to bring Catchmania to life and to contribute to the community's entertainment offerings. Thank you.
Madam Clerk, all the paperwork in order?
It is, thank you.
So thank you for your presentation. I can tell that you're enthused about what you want to undertake. So first we'll ask question, Maureen.
Is it the pet store? Is that where, next to?
Yeah, it's not pet store.
It's not the pet store, the one that's
yeah.
closed? It's near there?
Yes, there's a AM theater and a nail store.
Oh,
Between the nail
right.
store
Oh, yeah, I
and the
do.
Hallmark.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
So it's going where the Hallmark store is?
Next to Hallmark.
Next to it, okay. Oh, nice. And when you said 12 to closing, what time's closing during the week? Is it 9?
8.
Oh, 8,
Yeah.
okay. No, it sounds good. Is there something across the way, too, some kind of videos or games across?
You mean there's another store, it's called WOW?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I brought my
It's
granddaughter
different,
there.
yeah.
Yeah, this will be exciting.
We
Good.
have an employee to serve, so, yeah.
Well, excited for you. Good.
Thank you very
Welcome.
much.
Thank you.
Dee?
Thank you. I don't really have any question. Once the clerk says that all the papers are in order,
It is.
I don't know much about the actual business model, so good luck to Cashmania.
Thank you very much.
Michael?
I think of an arcade place, and I think of everybody being my age that wants to play. So you think you can capture the young people to go in and do business?
Yeah.
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 You sound like you have the background in it. You obviously have done some
Yeah.
work to.
Yeah. I have some retail background, yeah.
Yeah, good. Okay. Well, congratulations.
Thank you
I
very
hope you
much.
make a ton of money.
Thank you.
David?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good luck. Sounds very interesting. I'm a little too old,
Thank you.
but I'll try it.
This is a public hearing. Anyone in the public have any questions, comments? Hearing none, can I have a motion to close the public hearing?
Motion to close the public hearing.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. What's the will of the board?
Motion to approve as presented.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, none. Good luck to you. Thank you
Thank you very
for
much.
coming.
Thank you, everyone.
The chair will provide an update on the procedural process for the selection of a recruitment firm to assist in the town manager's search. So basically, we're guided by statute, Mass General Laws, Chapter 30B, and that requires that our town chief procurement officer send out the request for proposals for recruitment firms. Unlike a straight bid, the request for proposals allows us to award based on both price and non-price factors. A detailed request, including scope and grading criteria, was advertised. For this RFP, Danvers used several examples as guides from towns that had gone through a similar search recently. The evaluation criteria was used to measure response and reasonable proposals. This included minimum criteria as well as more comparative criteria. This comparative criteria must be measured and graded as highly advantageous, advantageous, non-advantageous, and unacceptable. The committee was charged with reviewing the proposals. We received 6, and scoring them based on the evaluation criteria, non-price. The 3 individuals, myself, Mike Bean, Rodney Conley, reviewed all proposals by ourselves, graded them according to I just said, and then we totaled up our scores and picked the top 3 scorers for a personal interview. After the interviews, the committee ranked the finalists before proceeding to reviewing the pricing. From there, after picking the winning bid, the CPO, Chief Procurement Office, will send out a contract with the approval of this board. The procurement officer is Judy Smith. We would like the Select Board to endorse the committee's selection. However, most of the information is still confidential until the contract is finished. Also, as this is a process guided by state law and overseen by the Office of the Inspector General, excuse me, the committee chosen to review the RFP must issue the award. Deviation from that could allow an unsuccessful bidder to challenge the results. So the company that we had won the highest score from our review, and also one that we all agreed to, is Community Paradigm Associates. And that's the committee that I would like this group to endorse so that Judy can send out a contract.
What was it again, Tim? Community?
Community, it's right here.
Okay. Paradigm.
Bernie Lynch is the principal.
And where are they out of?
They're local.
Local, okay.
Yeah. Any other questions? David?
No questions, thank you.
Mike, you were involved. Any comments?
Nope. It was ironic how it went because of what we learned but yeah, it was good experience.
Yeah.
Good experience.
I have a question.
Yes.
As a learning tool, so we had 6 apply. You narrowed it down to 3, and you graded the 3. How were the grades from yourself, Rodney and Mike? Was it
Actually,
close?
they were all highly advantaged. They always scored the highest. So
Okay.
now we had to look at the negatives. What was it that they didn't present that we expected? What their time frame is, how they will approach the process, how they will work with this board and with the community, and the level of their materials that they'll send out to candidates to promote the town of Danvers and the positives of Danvers. So after judging all those criterias, we came up with this firm.
Okay, and just one last question. Do we check references on those people, too?
We did.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, good. Okay.
They're all professionals.
Yep. Okay, that's it.
Dee, any questions?
Yeah, Dave, does this organization, have they helped other surrounding communities in the past?
That was one of the
5 years or so?
criteria that, one, they do a lot of municipal work, not just businesses.
Okay.
And 2, that they had a certain number of placements in Massachusetts. And this firm does that. That's their focus.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Any other questions?
No.
Nope. So if I may just have, we will not need a vote, but I just want to make sure everybody's in favor of this company. David?
Yes.
Okay. Mike?
Yes.
Obviously, you picked them.
Yes.
Okay.
If the 3 of you are comfortable, I'm
Yep.
comfortable.
Yes.
Obviously. Thank you. Rodney would ask Judy to send out that contract ASAP.
Will do, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. The town manager will report to the board on various items of interest. Rodney?
Thank you, through you, Mr. Chairman. Some last-minute update. As you're aware, brush fires continue throughout the greater region. Our crews here in Danvers specifically have been called out for mutual aid consistently in Middleton, near our water treatment plant, and other neighboring areas. Earlier this evening, the town was made aware of a proposal for several communities to jointly issue a declaration of emergency. We're still gathering details and working through what the specifics of that would be, but after consulting with the town's fire chief and others, we do plan to join. I do have limited information at this time, but if a declaration were to occur, we'll obviously provide information to the board as well as share it with the community and on social media. But again, we just got that about an hour and a half ago, so I wanted to make sure the board was aware, and we'll have more information to come on that. Also in your packet, you have the draft goals for FY26. That's just the preliminary draft. What I would ask is if any board members have items they'd like to address, to email me directly, and then we'll put it on the agenda for a full public discussion 2 weeks from now. As usual, most of the goals are static. Annual goals are long-term planning goals, but there are 3 specific for the fiscal 26 budget. So again, if you want to take a look at those, and then we'll put it on the agenda for formal discussion at our next meeting. Tax classification, the hearing is currently scheduled for December 3rd. This will be one, Mike, where you'll get it a full week in advance for the classification hearing, so a full report and presentation. Also, as is customary, we'll reach out to the board. Again, we would not be able to hold a quorum meeting, but one-on-one if any board member wants to come in and review the document with our Chief Assessor, John LaBelle, and myself. We always make ourselves available for that, and then we'll have the public hearing on December 3rd. And other than that, again, on behalf of the town staff, we wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you. Any questions for the town manager? Dee?
Yeah, so the state of emergency, and I mean, we don't have the details, but big picture, what does that entail? Does that give us, does the state give us more resources, or?
It elevates the level of concern. Yes, it does allow for greater coordination with local, state, and federal agencies, and should potential funding open up on a state and federal level, it would make us available for that as well.
Okay, and once we declare that, does the state have to approve it, or the criteria for the approval?
They don't need to approve our local declaration of emergency, but in order to declare a full statewide, that would have to come from the governor's office, correct? Yeah.
Thank you.
All set? Good, thank you. Now, the board will consider the consent calendar, please. Motion, please, to approve.
Motion to approve the consent calendar.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. At this time, new public business. Anyone in the audience with new public business? Please go to the microphone, introduce yourself.
Good evening. Lauren Steves, Hood Terrace. I have 2 things I want to address. The first one, I know there was a meeting in September for the Town Manager Review Committee and also the workshop that you guys had last meeting. And there was, I guess, an amendment being considered where you feel that the residency requirement for the new town manager should be eliminated. I believe there might be an intention to put a warrant article in front of town meeting in a special meeting in February. I really highly disagree with this decision.
So if I may, we have a committee, Town Manager Review Committee, that is gathering information. They're going to make a recommendation to us with the work they do. They're the folks you need to speak to. Our workshop the other day was just give the committee chair our thoughts and maybe some direction. But
So-
it's not for us to make that decision.
So the select board has no intention of putting a warrant article in front of town meeting?
Only after that committee submits the work to us. Then we'll put together a article for town meeting maybe in May, not February.
Okay, so this would be null and void since you intend to hire a town manager under those premises
We
come
have to.
April?
It's still,
correct?
the town manager actually said they shall live in town.
Okay,
And until we change that, that's the case.
okay. Well then, that answers
Point of
that.
order, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
I'm not sure if we've decided when we're putting that on the warrant article, if it's going to be February or May.
It won't be February. I just said that. It may be May if the work is done. If they're not done, then we'll ask town meeting for an extension.
So it's not February because we think they will not be done with the work?
Correct.
Is that? Okay, so that means that the hiring of the new town manager will be under the auspice of the current Town Manager Act?
Correct.
Because that's not the impression that I had. I was under the impression that we were hoping to have that done for the special town meeting in February.
Yeah, hoping is
But
one
when
thing,
that
but
change?
reality is another. That committee's not ready to make a decision yet. And they're working at their pace, not our pace.
If the warrant article is going to be a selectman warrant article, I mean, they're recommending to us. So if they don't make the recommendation, we have the authority to.
That's why I'm
write our
asking.
own
That's why I'm
warrant
asking this
article as
question.
well.
At that point in time, after we get their report, we'll make that decision.
Okay. Because it was just my understanding that you guys are allowed to do separate, we don't need the authority from them to do it, it's, you guys are able to do that. So that's why I was asking the question, or, you know.
We have the authority to write up a warrant article to go to town meeting, but it was decided to have a subcommittee review it thoroughly, and not just for us to pick one piece of it.
Okie dokie. Okay, so moving on. My second concern was, I know we had the police chief here at the last meeting, and I know there was discussion about him coming in front of the board every 3 months with an update. I would strongly suggest a liaison to select board meetings maybe once a month. It's evident we're still having major issues. I don't know if anyone's aware of the 20-plus juveniles that were banging and kicking in doors this weekend at people's residences and threatening them. I saw footage of trespassing and vandalizing of property this weekend, kids riding their bikes in the mall just last night. It's obvious that there is still an issue. So I think once a month should be a more likely scenario for what's going on. And I know last meeting we talked about the Criminal Justice Reform Act, which was signed into office last 2018. I guess I have questions on it. I don't know if Mike can speak to this or if these are questions for the chief. Just some of the laws. The first one is that it decriminalizes disturbing lawful assembly and disorderly conduct offenses for students under 18 when they're at school. But in tandem with that, the school administration is responsible for enforcing the school discipline, not the SROs, if there are dedicated SROs. That's how the law is written. So if the SROs are not to enforce penalties or discipline, I guess the next question comes to what's the school doing? What's the administration doing? Are we doing in-house suspensions? Are we doing at-home suspensions? Are the parents being notified? Because it seems like the SRO's hands are tied when it comes to on-school property issues. And then the next part of the new, not a new law, it's not new, but says youth can no longer be found delinquent for violations of local ordinances and the first offense of a misdemeanor for which the punishment is a fine and/or incarceration for no more than 6 months. I'm interpreting this to mean that the kids can no longer be considered delinquent for breaking local laws. The first misdemeanor offense, which carries a fine, will no longer lead to a delinquency charge. Is this accurate? Am I interpreting that law correctly?
None of us here are lawyers. So just to tell you, we've requested that the DA come before us, either with the chief or separately, to answer questions about the new laws so that we have a better understanding.
Okay. I don't know. I guess my questions are for them then, because I guess kids might the way I've read that law is that's basically that the first offense is nothing happens. The courts have the authority to also divert them. It seems like it's a get out of jail free card on their first infraction, but they shouldn't be allowed to pass go a second, third time. And clearly something is I don't know, something needs to change because just this past weekend, we had 2 or 3 incidents more. So I think having a liaison here from the police department once a month it's something I would just suggest.
Thank you. Anyone else, new business? Kevin?
Thank you. Kevin Barrich, 34 Poplar Street. Open meeting law seems to be my favorite subject lately, so I'll keep the ball rolling. Through you, Mr. Chairman, I know Mr. Conley was not here when I spoke last on this subject, so I'll say it again while he's here that my complaints have nothing to do with his selection. He seems like a fine and logical choice for the board to make, and this is my concerns are about process. And especially as the board has a really, really important decision in front of it, which is selecting a new permanent town manager, or 5 years, as the case may be. If we're supposed to do things in the open, I just want to make sure that we do them in the open. So
Well, if I may, Kevin.
You may.
We're hiring a recruitment firm who will ask for resumes from people throughout the country, hopefully. Those people would be vetted by the recruitment firm and brought to a subcommittee to interview in private. Those folks have the right to secrecy because they're still working somewhere.
In a preliminary screening.
In a preliminary screen. Then, working with that committee, the recruiter will bring forth 2 or 3 names for this board to interview in public.
Yep, that all.
the process.
That all sounds fine. And then your deliberation about who to choose will also be public, right? So if Mike thinks it's candidate A and you think it's candidate B and D thinks it's candidate C, you're going to have that discussion about the merits of which one and which to choose in public.
At that meeting, correct.
Okay, that sounds fine. So, I do thank you for responding to the previous complaint. You did address bullet by bullet what I wrote, which I do appreciate.
It's the only way I could do it. Although, ignore you, and I can't do that.
I'm sure you wished for a moment that you could, sir.
No, not at all.
You did approve minutes from that executive session, and they're part of the public record now, which I appreciate. I do want to note, if I were to quibble with those minutes a little bit, I think the minutes are lacking in detail and substance and of the discussion, and I think that was noted by the Office of the Attorney General when Keith Lucy filed a complaint. It wasn't a part of his complaint, but they did include in a footnote to their response. Although not a part of the complaint, we note with concern the lack of detail in the minutes. So I just, your decisions were there, but some discussion, some deliberation. Like I said, I think Mr. Conley's a fine choice. That's not the issue, but maybe other candidates were proposed. Maybe one of you thought 15% was too little and he deserves 30. I think we should have seen that part of the discussion. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. Just a comment on last week's new public business. Bill Bates brought up the subject of detours and not having two-way traffic, or at least traffic alternating. Part of the problem is a lack of details available for those projects. And I put it to you, Poplar and Locust Street, if we were queuing up cars to go down Locust Street, imagine the backup into the square and the confusion that we would have with cars queuing into the square and other traffic not going through. So there's a reason for detours. I will go to correspondence and new business. And if I may, with the indulgence of the board, I have a series of emails that were sent to me over the last few weeks from Keith Lucy at keithlucy@gmail.com. The first 3 were of the same nature. The last one that was sent was on October 15th. And it says, "Just resign. You are a complete embarrassment." Then on October 19th, there were two emails that were follow-ups, one at 8 o'clock and one at 10:48. Resign, or everything that your son James has ever done will be plastered all over town. So apparently, Mr. Reed was the designated plasterer with his comments last week, and there was two of those emailed that same night. These are public record, as Kevin would mention, and fully, if anybody wants to read them, they are available with a public records request. Thank you. Anybody else have correspondence?
I'll say something.
Yeah,
I just want to say thank you to the firefighters, for what's doing. That's the smell, right? I mean, we can smell it here at this meeting. It's dangerous. I do believe that there's certain drives for the firefighters that people can drop off, some Gatorades or waters or breakfast bars, anything that we can do to help the firefighters in our community and the surrounding communities would be great. I too, Mr. Chairman, through you and through the town manager, I'd like to see the police chief come more often. I'd like an update once a month because it's still out of control. And I think coming back in January is too long. I'd like to see, Rob, thank you for coming. I'd like to see more, as I mention all the time, I'd like to see more police presence. I do see some cruisers, I think, was it yesterday, about 10 of 3, near CVS. The female police officer, I don't know who she is, but she was sitting there and she was looking around, which was good. It'd be nice to maybe have her get out. I can bring it up to Jamie and walk around the town, let these kids see her. And then there was another police car at the same time down at the fire station. It'd be nice to see, like we talk about, having them patrol. And these kids are out of control. And we need to do this. But I really would like the chief to come every month and give us an update. Thank you.
Anything else under new business for closing comments? You all set?
I just want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. Spend the time with your family. We've got a lot of work ahead of us. Rodney seems to be doing a great job. I thought we had to. I had my notes ready for the goals, the budget goals and everything like that. But, I just want to say spend the time with your family and friends and enjoy this time. And thank you for everybody that's, in the community that's participating. We'll get there, right? We'll get there. We're going to take care of this trouble, or this cloud that's been over Danvers lately. And we'll see some nice bright sunshine soon. Thank you.
Thank you. Mike?
Yes, please. I'd like to address Lauren, if you don't mind. I think some of the things that are happening is that Chris, in the assault that took place, has forced us to back the lens off and see what's really going on. So we do have to see what the laws that have been changed and what they're doing to us, because I don't see how they serve a purpose when they handcuff the police. As far as the police, I think that a couple of officers were upset when I made a comment about the GOA. My intention is not to put anybody down, but I'm a worker and I'm all about work. One of my bosses is sitting over there from many years ago, and so when I go by and see a perfectly good day that a cruiser's sitting there with the windows up and the officer doesn't get out and walk around the center of town, to me, that doesn't look good. It's okay, take a walk around, that's working. But my intention wasn't to say that somebody was lying. That's what one officer said to me. He thought I was lying when I said GOA. Nope, I don't think anybody's lying, but people's work ethics are different. So it's up to the chief to motivate the people to get out there so we don't have bikes riding down the center of the street, people getting hurt. Another situation where a handicapped person like Chris gets injured again when we have the facilities and the people here. But again, I have to say it again, that fully staffed is minimally staffed, and that's a reality that we have to face. We need a few more people to work on that department, and we need the people that are working there to work, and we need the chief to motivate them. And it's not trying to be upsetting to anybody, it's just a reality. I work every day, we're all working. And I think it's a problem that we can fix. I don't think it's a hard thing to grasp, but the laws do need to be changed because they work against us right now. Thank you.
Thank you. David?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Addressing Lauren's concern, which is just is a shared concern. A year or two ago, there was a great deal of controversy in town about the hockey locker room and repeated newspaper notices, especially that patch, the Danvers patch, if anybody watches that. Every other day, there was an article commenting upon plastic sex toys or something like that, over and over and over again. Eric Crane was, and I believe is still on our school board. Arthur Scamius was, or I don't think he still is on the school board. They are both lawyers. And as people have heard before, I've been a lawyer. Yes, if there's a lawyer in the room, I stopped 20 years ago, but I've been a lawyer for 56 years. I've tried to be attentive, number one, throughout my years of being here, to pay attention to the legal service that has been given to the town and what the town has to pay for it. I happen to have watched very carefully the town lawyer who worked with Steve Bartha for 10, 11 years, David DeLuca, and I know him only through his work for the town. I have found his work and the billing of his firm to be eminently fair, correct, and accurate, or I would have said something. When it came down to that hockey locker room stuff, there was outrage. There was outrage against the superintendent and against the school committee for not doing more. And I reviewed all of the documentation that was part of the record in that case. That included opinions from the town council to the school committee as to what they could or could not do by way of disclosing names, identities, and other things that the public cried for and had a very normal need and want to know. Like me, I want to know, who are those kids? Who are those parents? How could this happen? And wasn't anybody watching? But I must tell you, it's discouraging to know all of the legal advice that was given to that school committee, from what I can tell, was absolutely accurate. From what I could tell, it restricted the school committee from doing and saying things that you and I would want to have said and done. And I was discouraged by as Mike just said, there has to be changes. Now, when it comes to the current activity, especially with juveniles and people under the certain age, it's mind-boggling. And when it says, what does the law say? I would just tell you that if someone asked me what the law was saying, I'd take a piece of paper and I'd put one law at the top and print it out or cut and paste. And then I would go and try to read the opinions of the state appeals court and the state Supreme Court as to what they have said by way of interpreting those laws. That's where I'd go to try to get a sense of what exactly does the law say and what kind of constraints are put on the police. And I was a prosecutor, I was a defender, I've been over the hill and back. And it isn't easy. And the constraints that the police have to work on, because once the police offend one parent and one child, then the child jumps on that police officer, but doesn't read the statutes and the cases to know the constraint. So I'm just saying that I sympathize with you greatly. I've lived here a long time. Anytime anybody is abused in any way in this town reflects upon me. I have had a history of being a somewhat abused person in my life. So I hear you. I wish there were a simpler answer. I do watch the police, and I try to stay in touch with our chief, who I've known all the chiefs from the time I was 7 years, and I'm 82. From 7, I have known every single police chief in this town, and I have been very critical through some of the years of some of the chiefs. And I think that our current chief does a superb job. And it's fire and police are ordinarily, in most communities and ours, the hardest groups of our labor people to deal with because they have tough jobs, especially the police, and they get criticism from every side. And I'll finally add my own footnote that as I was listening to the discussions in the last couple of meetings, and people have sent me emails telling me to resign. Well, I'm not going to. I'm too old to resign. And the other thing they say, do you see what they said on social media about you yesterday? And I said, wait a minute. My mother told me about 25 years ago never to hang around a cesspool. And if I'm around a cesspool, have a safety cord so I don't fall in, because it's not very tasty. No, I don't know what anyone said on me in social, because I consider it to be a social cesspool, which is abused in Danvers as it is abused in many other communities who attempt to have a forum where people can have legitimate discussion of what's going on, what's good, bad, and different, and how we can make things better. So, that being said, as I'm sitting and listening to everything, here's what's going through my head. Being a parent is probably the most difficult and important job in the entire world. Being a police officer is probably one of the most important and difficult jobs in any community, including ours. Being a school principal, teacher, guidance counselor, or safety officer is dealing with the most important and difficult job in our town and school system. And being a municipal officer, trying to watch the budget of this town for the last 50 years, we can never give the parents everything they want for their children. In this world, parents can never ask for enough for their children to try to protect them from what is going on. So I'm saying, I don't see it being an easy job for anybody, but whenever our police are attacked, I really feel bad. And when parents are attacked, I really feel bad. And there is no way that our problem with the youngsters is going to be solved without everybody working together and not name-calling or blaming any one group for it. And I'm thinking finally in my head, well, they caught one youngster. I don't know who it is. And everybody can say, well, why don't you just bring that mother and father before the board and embarrass them publicly? What if the mother happens to be a single parent? What if she has a special needs child with autism who's 3 years old, who she has to get care for, and she's working 2 jobs? So assuming things, for me, is never very, of course, I was trained as a lawyer to look at the evidence, and so unless I can see the evidence, I try to be very careful about making judgments. Finally, to say, thank you for people who take, oh yeah, Lauren is the one who stopped the traffic and let me walk across the street tonight without getting killed. Thank you. There was no police officer watching those people going right through the crosswalk, Rob. So I just wanted to say that, and I truly love this town, and it hurts me when I see stuff that is like no win, no win, no win. Finally, people ask me, never mind, did I always want to be a judge? No, I just wanted to not be locked up in the Danvers State Hospital. I'll take anything for a job. But the things that are going on, well, I think I've said enough. Thank you for listening and for the safety walk, Lauren, to get me across.
Thank you, David. Dee?
That's a tough act to follow. Thanks, David. To you, Mr. Chair, to the town manager, the closure of the road, because I know Mr. Bates had talked about it, and there was also a business. Do people get notified that the road is going to be closed ahead of time?
If construction is being done on your street, there's some notice sent, but not to everybody, just people that are impacted.
For that street?
Right.
Okay, is that how?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, we can provide a more formal response to Bill Bates' question from the last meeting, but generally speaking, we try to post it on social media that they'll be working the area over, say, a 2 or 3 week period. But in order to precisely dictate that, again, between the contractor, town staff, weather conditions, detail work, it's fluid. It could be fluid. It could be, so to post saying, yes, we'll be closed from 9 to 2 tomorrow morning, and then that morning it's like, oh, just kidding, it's tomorrow, it's the next day, or it's going till 5. It's just, so we try to give you a general idea of when that work would happen. But again, like I said, we'll provide a more formal response detailing how some of that decision-making happens.
Because I think we could probably do as a town a better job with signage. I mean, when I go to other communities and a road is going to be closed, sometimes it's stated like a day or sometimes even a week before. Because I think unless it's an emergency, we know we're going to be working on a specific road on a specific day. And it would be better to have the signage, even if we change it by an hour or 2. I was just curious, probably something to look, because I don't see enough signs in town when the roads are going to be closed. And I think that would be helpful for the residents and the businesses as well. Other than that, I just want to thank again the people who have volunteered to serve. And as I said before, if you were at the Veterans Day celebration and you got your starfish, whenever it gets harder, whenever you feel like quitting, put it on and use it as a reminder of the importance of service. So thank you.
Thank you, Dick.
Thank you. Thank you. An update to the board on last Thursday, on the 14th, I attended the Resilient Danvers workshop up at the community college to hear about the CASPA plan implementation, updates, and opportunities for 2025. There are 6 areas of focus in that report: energy, buildings, public health, natural resources, transportation and land use, and solid waste. And I've asked Rodney that we get an update on these goals, strategies, and actions from the responsible staff over the next 4 or 5 months, so that we're aware of what's going on. Jeff Ellie is working on the energy, Rob Devers, buildings, Brian Barry, public health, Renee Hunter, natural resources, Aaron Henry, transportation and land use, and Eric, and I can't remember her last name, Rodney?
Di Donato.
Di Donato is working on solid waste and refuse. So we'll hear updates from those folks over the next 6 months or so. With that, is there any other business to come before the board? Please, if you see a vet, thank the vet for their service, and good night, Danvers.